Everyone, and welcome to the CiC January webinar for 2022 with the fantastic topic of starting the year well. Actually, as I started to look into this and research, what it is that I could do to open up a conversation really about how it is we start a year. What is it we do to get ourselves ready? What is it we do to prepare? Think about what our needs are. Think about what our aims and goals for the year are and how we're going to achieve them. My name's Harry Key. For those of you that haven't met me before, I'm the head of Global Specialist Services, which is a heck of a fancy title for CiC. I'm a psychotherapist. I work mainly with our international contracts and on the kind of global specialist work we do, particularly with trauma programs and peer support programs that we run. Really, these sessions are put together so that we can just start talking about some of those topics that sometimes are a little bit more difficult to address in the workplace. And I'd like to give you all the opportunity, as I said at the beginning, ask any questions, make any comments as we go through. If anyone is having audio issues, I'd appreciate if anyone in the chat can help them out and just remind them to leave and rejoin. Martin's put some really useful comments about clicking the arrow next to unmute and pick default as the speaker option. You're helping everyone out there, Martin. Thank you very much. So, let's just push on with the content and tell me as we're going through if you have any thoughts or questions. But you'll see on most slides, I've put a little bit of a comment or a question that I'm asking you. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. My first one is Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you. But I put a question mark there is because, well, how do we feel about the year ahead? Are we having a happy new year? Are you starting to look ahead for the new year and start to make plans or comments to yourself about what you want to achieve, about the things that you want to get rid of or the things that you want to find more of? Please start letting me know in the chat. Remember, you can send it to me privately. Just select my name from the drop-down box, Harry Key, if you've got a question or a comment you want to say more private. But have a little think now, whether you share them in the chat or not. Just have a little think to yourself, maybe close your eyes. Maybe take a little moment of pause. What would you like to do more of this year? And what would you like to do less of? Rather than trying to think about making these large sweeping changes to our life, just what are the things that we enjoy or that we get benefit from that we'd like to do more of? And what are the things that get in the way or push us a bit too much that we'd like to do less of? And I've shared one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite philosophers, Sartre there: existence precedes essence. And what that really is meant to say is that human beings, we exist before we have a reason to exist, right? We are given our existence before we are given a reason to exist. Well, the same goes for each new year. We're given a new year. The whole of 2022 in my head exists at the moment. I have an idea of 365 days, 12 months, 52 weeks, but it doesn't have an essence. It hasn't happened yet. I haven't missed any opportunities yet. The year's only 18 days old. I've got plenty of time to make 2022 into whatever I've got the power to make it into. So I'm just going to read out a few of the things. We've got some in the chat here coming through already. Brett says it's going to be stressful moving house. So great, Brett. You're identifying that there's something stressful coming up. And then what are the bits of gold in there? What's the joy that we can bring out of that process? Even if it is just getting lost in the process of moving house and having some purpose, there you have an essence perfectly made for you. Sad just said uncertainty. Yeah, we're going to touch on that in a little bit more. Ruby says more rest, less screen time. Brilliant. We've got a perfect give and take. Can we give up some of our screen time and take it back as rest for ourselves? Nicholas says organize more to stress less. That's a really good one. I like that. It feels like a bit of a mantra there. Someone's just said here privately, I feel better than last year. Great. But watch out for those comparisons to others, and also comparisons to previous and future versions of ourselves. They can be difficult if they're negative, but it's great to hear that one of you is feeling better than last year. That's great. Work-life balance, Alexis says. Leslie says, be happier, laugh more, have fun. Mel says, I'd like to participate more. What a beautiful sentence. So you found time and energy that you have to give to others and other things. Now what you need to do is find those things to participate in. Ask your friends, ask your family members, your colleagues, anyone around you. Ask here in this chat. Haley says, I feel positive about the year ahead. I'd like to have more time for friends and family and to set myself boundaries around working after hours. We're going to touch on that in a little bit as well. Tracy says, I'm hopeful for this year. I want to be healthier and get out more. Anuja said, I'd like to be kinder to myself this year. A very happy new year, by the way. Happy new year to you, Anuja, as well. Nice to see you. Mel says, I'm positive, but the doubts come in sometimes. Of course they do. We spend most of our time as human beings deciding that we understand how the world works, and then suddenly something comes along to tell us that we're wrong, and we start doubting ourselves. All we've done is created a worldview, and we have to create that. Remember, I'm coming back to this quote again, our existence precedes essence. The meaning in our lives is made up, but it's made up by us. We're the ones who have control over that in the most part. Being more present in the moment, more laughing and less brooding. Yeah, that's a good one. After surviving 2 heart attacks in September, someone says here, I'm looking to see how well-being can play a part in agile working. Well, certainly well-being plays a part if you've had a couple of heart attacks. I'm glad to hear that you're still with us, but making sure that you take that time to tend to yourself and care for yourself and think about what you need as well as work to be well. Martin said, I feel cautiously optimistic about the year ahead. I like cautiously optimistic. Martina, I'd like to travel more and worry less. I've got some really great comments. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. Joanna says, I want to restock my Etsy shop. I keep getting commissions and I can't get around to making them. Good problems to have, as we say in the world of business. Ronki says, do less social media. Pick this up during Christmas, more intentional working on my goals. And we're going to look at goals in a little bit as well. So those of you that have shared these in the chat, keep them with you. Those of you that are just thinking about these, hold them close. What do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? You've already got a goal and an intention. And by the way, we don't need to start our goals and intentions for the year on the 1st of January or on the 18th of January or by June. It doesn't matter. The year even is a kind of made up constructed thing. Michael says, the best thing I did this year is to get rid of my to-do list app. Well, I'd like to hear more about that, Michael. What did that help? Would it make you feel more free, less tied down? Yesterday, here in the UK, we have this thing that we talk about called Blue Monday. Some of you that are from other parts of the world might not have heard of this. It's very northern hemisphere specific. But yesterday, for instance, my mum's birthday was a very happy day for me, but it's supposed to be the saddest day of the year. There's some pseudo-scientific formula that someone made up to determine that it's the unhappiest day of the year. But why do I have to be happy? What's wrong with being unhappy? What's wrong with Monday being blue most of the time? Sadness is an emotion. It's an important emotion. I don't need to push it and force it away and try and replace it with some facet of happiness. In fact, I started doing a little bit of research around Blue Monday, and over the past 5 years, it's morphed and it's changed, and it's now become this really clever way of trying to sell us things. Every time I search for any article about Blue Monday, it said, oh, why not try these new lamps, or try this new book, or this new aromatherapy treatment. What if I had a great day yesterday? What if I really enjoyed myself on Blue Monday? Am I not allowed to talk about it with my friends and colleagues and family members because it's supposed to be sad? Gemma says, I thought Blue Monday was a marketing scheme by the travel companies to sell holidays. There you are, Gemma. I'm glad someone else is joining me in my cynicism of capitalism there. Yeah, probably. Nicholas says, it's for me, it's January the 3rd to the 8th. Great. So Nicholas, you've done something really powerful there. You have noted for you what the most difficult happy time of the year for you is, where it's most difficult for you to find that happiness. Now, for future years, you can start scheduling some things to really look forward to for that time, perhaps. Martin says, I'm loving your enthusiasm and energy. That's great. I've been sleeping all day, Martin, ready for this, so that I've got all my energy. Yes, someone said here privately, why does it have to be labeled? A labeled day? Absolutely. Blue Monday will be a different day for each of us. Some of us might have a blue month or a blue year. Sadness is not something that we should be afraid of. Ian said, we rebranded it to Brew Monday. I like that idea. Yeah. Natalie says, I've decided to make small changes like eating dinner at the table with family rather than something in front of the TV. It's been great to talk and let the conversations flow. Yeah. Someone else has said here privately, my Blue Monday was last Monday, so I took the afternoon off as leave and just chilled doing some hobbies. Great. Taking some power back. Recognizing in ourselves, rather than being fearful of these emotions, recognizing them in ourselves and giving ourselves something back. So I've put here, you can probably tell by the way I'm talking, I'm not a huge fan of this idea of Blue Monday. So can we instead use this as a starting point for recognizing the natural flow of the year, the bits that we can't control? I've loved this website for the past 2 years. It was actually my partner that showed it to me. It's like, no matter how dark and cold, again, this is very Northern Hemisphere specific, but you all in the Southern Hemisphere will get this in 6 months' time. When those days feel shorter and darker, this website, timeanddate.com/sun, go there, put in your location, and it will tell you day by day how much more sunlight and daylight there is. And you can see on this graph here, yes, it may feel half dark, half light for me now on January the 18th, but look about a few months ahead. I'm going to have far more sunny days than I am going to have dark days. And again, that kind of looking towards the future and thinking about what I can take control of, whilst being aware of the things that are going to naturally continue whether I change or not, is really nice. Yeah, someone else is agreeing here. Brew Monday is a wonderful rebranding. Yeah. Nafisa says, definitely wanting to not get trapped in the blues that are around. I didn't even know Blue Monday existed until yesterday. I'm keeping optimistic because that's what I want to feel and be. Although recognizing some days won't be great. Yes, it's that reality, that give and take. And she says here, I love the idea of that website, Sun. Yeah, because a lot of this calculation of Blue Monday is down to how much daylight there is. Yeah, no surprise. The days being darker feel more difficult. Although today in London, we have a beautiful sunny day, and even at, I don't know, 4:15 p.m., it's still trying to be quite blue outside. Great. So the question here on this slide really was, how did you feel yesterday and how about today? Instead of thinking about it in terms of other people's structure or other people's constructions of how we should feel on certain days of the year, just think sometimes, pay attention to your needs and how you've been doing. How did I feel yesterday and how do I feel today? Two little data points that we can really work with as we're trying to start the year well. Some of the emerging difficulties. So we did a webinar like this, and remember, I'm just going to put another link to it in the chat because a few people have joined since we started this session. There's a link to our YouTube channel in the chat. For those of you watching the recording, you're already on our YouTube channel, so you're in the right place. The YouTube channel there, you'll see that our webinar in December, we were starting to look ahead to this year already and looking at the trends and the emerging trends of our mental health needs for the year. I've copied a few of them here, and I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Have you started to notice or felt any of these? Or are there any more emerging trends or difficulties for your well-being that you're starting to notice in this new year? The pandemic's affecting many of us still, and many of us in very different ways, depending on our location, how we live our life, and how well we feel at the moment. So let me know how that's affecting you as well in the chat, and we'll have a good discussion around this. Someone said their response to the last slide here, I felt okay. I started meditating recently and I'm feeling better for it. Great. Someone said here privately, I thought it was the amount of blue light we receive from screen time. Yeah, so blue light from screen time can affect certainly our production of melatonin, the kind of substance that we need to regulate our sleep, which can then in turn affect our mood because our sleep isn't so well or so deep. Yeah. Someone said here privately, I think all of these on the screen are relevant. That's good. Laura says, tired yesterday, not so tired today. Good. Checking in on your energy levels. Ray says, feel okay, but seem more tired at this time of year. That's not surprising. Also, with kind of lockdowns and restrictions, we might not be spending so much energy doing stuff. And I find for me personally that the less energy I spend doing stuff, the less energy my body gives me. If I actually try and do stuff, I get a lot more energy from it as well. Fiona said here, I've started doing yoga at the end of my working day. It makes me feel fantastic and really stretches me out, though I only seem to do it when I work from home. Yeah, that pressure from work, a few of you, quite a lot of people talking about this privately to me here in the chat. Certainly we're feeling more change, bringing more pressure. We might also be entering into that fatigue cycle. How many of us took time over Christmas and New Year to properly pause on self-care? Maybe some of us still have a lot of that uncertainty for the future. Remember our first slide, existence precedes essence. Yes, there might be uncertainty, but the things that we're imagining haven't happened yet. We can create that essence if we take some time and energy to I guess, bring in more of what we enjoy into our lives. Relationships at work might be strained still through that lack of contact and collaboration. We might be getting more pressure on our relationships at home with partners, flatmates, family, friends. And then there's that link between mental and physical health, how to fully care for ourselves and find that strong support circle so that we can share things. And lots of people here talking about an overwhelmed feeling, or not feeling motivated, feeling tired. Yeah. More work, less time, someone said here. Yeah. I'm glad I've booked a week off at the end of this month to make it feel a bit shorter. Jane, that's a really smart idea. I don't know why I haven't thought of that one before. Hopefully that's given an idea to quite a few people in the chat here. Yeah. If January is difficult for you, take a week off at the end of it. Someone says here privately, I have glasses to block the blue light. Very worthwhile purchase. Great. Martin says Windows has a tool that can make your screen appear warmer. You can do that on your phones usually as well. Mac does have something similar. Yeah, really good if you're using computers late into the night. Daylight bulbs, Ian said there, what a great idea. Someone said here privately, I'm feeling misaligned with my job. That's a really great sentence and a good start. It's good that you've started to notice this misalignment. Now, my recommendation is, first of all, have a look back on our YouTube channel, because we had a webinar, I believe it was our November webinar, where we were looking at this kind of idea of the Great Resignation and this big change where people were noticing that they weren't quite set in the right career or the right job. There's a few things that we can do to look at a bit more detail as to what is the misalignment in our job. Is it circumstantial? Is it just due to the facts of the pandemic that I'm working from home, or my team's been made smaller, or my responsibilities have changed? Or is it something structural? Or maybe it's something cultural. Maybe it's the organization that you don't quite get on with. Having a bit more insight into what that misalignment is can help you either improve the position you're in your current role, or maybe start looking for jobs that are more suited. Someone said sleeping has been a problem recently. Lavender pillow mist has helped. Great. I've got lots of product ideas here. Sometimes I find it hard to wake up or do my walk or get showered before the workday. I'm going to talk about this when I talk about goals and setting goals for the next year. We have to be aware that we're going to fail, either through fault of our own, maybe because we don't have the energy for it, although how me not having the energy is my fault, I don't know. But through the change and uncertainty that we're dealing with, it's likely that things are going to have to change. Stress isn't the end of a job role, but just one part of a number of factors that result in burnout. It takes a lot more work to resolve. Yeah. So there are certain things here that we can do structurally to take a bit more charge and a bit more kind of control over our lives. Someone's saying here to me, I felt like there was something missing at work too. I couldn't put my finger on it though. Speak to your peers, speak to your colleagues. These are really difficult things to deal with alone. If I've got problems in the relationships I have at work, I'm not going to solve them on my own. If I've got problems in my relationship at home, I am not going to solve them on my own. I can't. I'm not a superhero. I can't go and do something over here that fixes stuff and gives it back to people and go, there you go, it's sorted. That's not the way the world works. Because on the receiving end, you've got another individual that's going, hey, I don't want this. This is more change. We need to collaborate. We need to talk and communicate so that we can create change. Change doesn't come from one person having this kind of light bulb idea. We're not all kind of eureka inventors. That's not how it goes in most cases. Someone's saying here privately, I took a big step in regards to addressing stress and an unmatching of values between me and a new job. So I decided to look for and started another new job yesterday in an organization that made me happy years ago. Great to hear. Congratulations on the new job. Someone else here saying, I've gone freelance recently and I hope to start the new year with energy and resolve to start a new slate. But I found it really difficult and isolating not having an office or community that I'm part of. That, coupled with a move to live by myself, has meant I'm starting the year feeling quite lonely and more depressed than I was imagining. Okay, so I'm going to take this really wonderful comment and say a few things here. First of all, it's great that you've noticed that you're feeling more depressed and lonely than you thought you would. So things didn't go how you thought they were going to go. You've got some new information. So you took a few steps at once that led you to being alone, going freelance and choosing to live alone. So of course it's going to feel more lonely. But the fact that that loneliness is depressing to you shows a disconnect from the world, a disconnect from the people around you. You've said that here, not having an office or a community to be part of. You do have a community to be part of. You've got the human community, and that's all of us, and there's about 400 of us here, so welcome and hello. But also, whatever the freelance community is in the world of work that you're in, reach out, look online, Facebook groups, social media groups of people doing similar stuff. Freelance can be your community. They're not going to come and find you. That's the thing, especially if you've gone to live on your own as well. They're not going to come and knock on your door and find you and say, hey, we're the online freelance community. You're going to have to go and find them. But they will be accepting of you, just as you would be accepting if another freelancer in your field came up to you and said, hey, do you want to spend some time talking about the work we do? I wish you the best of luck. And it's really good that you've noted where these difficulties are with you. Working from home has given me less social interaction, Sophie's saying in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Someone else saying privately, feeling stuck and indecisive, like everything is changing around me, but I don't know what or how to change myself. I'm going to pick a few things out of here. Stuck and indecisive, that's a very human condition, because we don't really have to decide. Things will just happen. Our life will just carry on if we don't decide. We're usually going to be kind of okay. Now, everything is changing around you can be a bit of a construct, because things are changing around me the whole time. People are being born and dying, and new animals are coming about, and new trees are growing new leaves, and change is constantly going on around me. Have a little think about, what is it, the change that you don't like that you're seeing? Are you seeing change going on in others that you wish to emulate in yourself? Or are you feeling change going on in others that makes you think that you're being left behind or you're stuck with something? Because those comparisons can be really, really harmful. You don't know what or how to change yourself is a really good starting point. You're at the starting point of choice and freedom. Just choose something. And we're going to look at this when we look at goal setting. I think that will be really useful for you. And yeah, we'll have a little chat about that in more detail. But thank you so much all for sharing these things. So, are you feeling the pressure? I really liked this image. I have a trouble finding images sometimes. I scour the web for hours trying to find them. But there's something about the colours of this that spoke to me. We're still in a distinct period of change and uncertainty. We are all under more pressure than we're used to dealing with, just by the very nature of being as part of this pandemic. So consider your bar is already a little bit full of pressure. Now, goals and resolutions can help us focus and help us decide what bits we want to change, particularly that person who made that comment about not knowing where to start. But here are the things we must be wary of when we're trying to force change in the world. First of all, putting ourselves under the pressure to achieve. Instead, just put yourself under pressure to try. Achievements are often values or milestones set by other people that we're trying to match, and that might not suit us. I might really enjoy studying chemistry, but I'm never going to get an A. Okay, but I've studied chemistry and I got a C. Cool. Hey, I still studied chemistry. I did as much work as anyone else did. I just didn't get the same grade as other people. So putting ourselves under pressure just to try and attempt, I think, is really nice. An additional pressure from comparisons to others. What's going on for me is not relative to what's going on for other people. Ever. It can't. I've got my own personal experience. I've got my whole past that's going on in my body and my mind. I have a very different set of tools and resources to others. And if I end up comparing and trying to emulate, I only ever stay on that one slim track. Instead, consider, what are your options? Start trying to broaden the horizon rather than narrowing it down to some point at the end of a tunnel that we've got to bash our way to. We can then increase the pressure by trying to do it alone. You've probably heard me say this a number of times if you've been to these sessions before. Human beings are not born alone. We are born as part of a community, a tribe, a society, a family sometimes. We have others around us and we should rely on others around us. That's okay, it's not weakness. Particularly when we're talking about goals and trying to achieve and trying to push ourselves some more, we might need resource from other people. And then punishing ourselves for failing. I am a real bad one at this. Sometimes when something goes bad for me, or I fail, or things don't go quite how I expected them to be, I can beat myself up for hours, days, weeks. My partner calls it brushing myself off. Like if I stub my toe, I'll kind of brush myself off, like there's something on me that I don't want. Like this horrible mistake is I don't know, affecting the whole of me. So just watch out for this. If you fail, but you're still here, good. You've learned something. Try not to repeat that mistake again, but even if you do, okay. And then sadness. This is another one that comes to me from time to time. Sadness, and I use it as a reason to do nothing. I couldn't possibly set New Year's goals. I'm too depressed. I'm too sad. Sadness is not a reason to do nothing. It's just a feeling. It's an emotion that I'm having. I need to find out what that sadness is attached to. I need to find out what the reasons for that sadness are and address them if they're unreasonable, or accept them if they're reasonable reasons to be sad. Someone said here in the chat that their goals for this year was to travel more. Well, travel's a bit too hard at the moment for some people, and that might make some people feel sad. But instead of feeling it as sadness that we can't control, what can we do to take a bit of an advantage of that? Yeah, someone said here, this is really hard to do. And then someone else has said privately, what can we do to avoid punishing ourselves? I find it hard to avoid punishing myself. I think it's just one of those reflex actions we do, but it's just about forgiving myself in the same breath, right? So noticing that I'm punishing myself is the first step to that. As they'll say in any 12-step program, right? Admitting that you're a punisher is the first step to getting better. Well, yeah, if I'm someone that punishes myself unnecessarily, I need to be honest about that. I need to share it with the people around me, particularly the people I live with, and just say, hey, if you hear me like mulling over something or punishing myself for weeks over a parking ticket I got, just remind me and let me know that that's not really helping. Yeah. And do the same for myself. Yeah. Someone said this is a really great slide. Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed putting this one together because we get put under so much pressure to change or do better or have these resolutions. But heck, I'm happy if I'm just here from week to week and you all are still listening to me sometimes. We don't have to improve all the time too. Miriam said here in the chat, I really like what you said about achievements. I never thought of it as related to our comparison with others. Yeah, I didn't really until I started really deeply thinking about it. I had a therapist quite a few years ago when I was in training actually to be a therapist myself, and they asked me a really good question. I was struggling at work, and I thought, I'm working really hard, but I'm not getting promoted. I'm not being paid as much as I think I should. And he just said, well, how much should you be paid? What is your value? What's the value of the work that you do? And what would you like that value to be? And how can you add more to get that value? And just starting to question what that value was. And I'll look at that with you all in a bit more detail, because I think that more and more now our value in the world is being questioned and tested. And we have to set boundaries around that. It says here, sadness is a new emotion for me. I'm usually quite tiggerish, so I feel quite sideswiped by it. It does seem to be stopping me. Okay, if sadness is new for you, can you enjoy it? I know that might sound a bit weird, but can you really let yourself feel it? A couple of people have mentioned my energetic nature. That also comes with a bit of optimism. I am a bit Pollyanna-ish or a bit Tiggerish. I do always look on the bright side of things. So sometimes when I'm feeling sad, my instinctive reaction is just to push it away or avoid that sadness. Instead, can I let it wash over me? Can I let myself really experience that sadness? Because usually my body will then start coming up with reactions to that sadness that I would have missed completely if I had avoided the emotion. And actually, very often, I then share the sadness. If I'm someone that pushes it away quickly, I don't share that sadness with anyone. So actually, every experience of sadness I have is deeply alone. But if I can allow myself to really feel the sadness and then I can share it with someone else, all of a sudden I'm not alone in my sadness. It's the sadness of a human being. And look, I know not many of you are on camera, but put your hands up if you understand the sadness of being a human being. Yeah, our futility, our fragility, our inconsistency, our contradiction, our hypocrisy, that is human, but it's sad sometimes. Oh, look, people putting their thumbs up. I didn't know you could do that. That's great. Keep them coming. I like seeing that. Someone said here, enjoying sadness is one thing, but there's a risk of wallowing. So I think wallowing is enjoying how sadness looks. It's not quite really experiencing the sadness. That's how I describe it, and you might define it differently. But to me, wallowing is like, oh, do you know what? I'm sad, and I'm allowed to be sad, and that allows me to lay on the couch and watch TV and order a pizza. By the way, you do not have to be sad to lay on the couch, watch TV, and order a pizza. That can be your happy place as well. It's one of mine. But sometimes, yeah, that wallowing is something that we want to watch out for. You're right. Ray says sadness can be good to embrace at times, as if you feel it, then you can possibly let it go. Yeah, absolutely. Someone says here, think of the positives in what you're doing and what you've achieved. This will boost your confidence and encourage you to take on more achievable goals. We're going to talk about goals in a minute. Yeah, well, lots of people agree with me here. Michael says, I read a book by Dan Miller once and it touched on this. Let it flow, let it go. But how? Well, I think what Dan Miller's trying to say with let it flow is really feel it. Don't avoid it. Don't push it away. Don't stuff that sadness down. Harry says, sometimes I find leaning into sadness or low moods helps me overcome them. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. Thanks, Chloe. So we've dealt with the change going on in the world. We've started to think of what we want to do more of and what we want to do less of. We've got rid of all of these unhelpful comparisons and this unnecessary forced sadness. And now we're in a practical step of setting a goal. And here's a few tools and tips that I've picked up along the way that I think might help. First of all, reasonable and specific goals, like something that you think is something that you can measure within a year, right? Focus on one or two things. I find that people that have huge long lists of goals will often find frustration more commonly than those of us that have one or two overarching goals. Because if you have lots of goals, you don't get that kind of positive feedback all the time by making good progress. Because if you've got 10 or so things that you're doing 5 minutes of work on a day, there's real slow progress. But if I'm just focusing all my spare time on one or two goals, I'm going to see progress really quickly, and I'll hit that plateau a bit sooner, and then I'll hit the next spike a bit sooner. So I'm less likely to give up. Once you've got that goal, work backwards from it to create a plan of how to get there. List the new skills that you need to pick up. I love breaking goals down into skills because I'm not going to have all the skills I need to achieve my goal right now. Impossible. Otherwise, I'd have achieved it already. And the old skills you need to hone. And then consider how you might measure your progress and share that with people around you. Again, just a little chat with your partner or a friend or whoever you live with or near, or whoever you work with on a regular basis. Just say, look, hey, I'm trying to improve this over the next 12 months. I'm going to check in on it in 3 months and try and measure it by looking at this. Will you help me? Things will not go to plan. We said this earlier, right? Course corrections are vital. We learn in progress. We learn as we make mistakes and mess up, and something comes along to change our plans. This is so much more relevant in the pandemic as well, right? How many of your plans have been taken away by something that no one has any control of? Ask for help. It's going to be a massive, massive bold text. I forgot to underline it, but that should be underlined. Again, human beings do not do these things alone. Find your balance of pushing and letting go. And then this is kind of my favorite phrase, but I'm not quite sure how to explain it to others. But do rather than do not. Pick something, anything. Do not bury yourself under the weight of something that feels unachievable. Spend 5 minutes doing something towards achieving it. Even if that 5 minutes is getting a piece of paper and writing 100 times, damn, this feels impossible. It's doing rather than doing not. Sometimes we end up with goals that feel so difficult and so unachievable that we stop doing anything else. And we stop doing anything at all because we don't believe that we can achieve it. Remember, just attempt to try, don't attempt to achieve something certain. I only have one goal, Bridget says. Go more with the flow of life. Beautiful. Love it. Chris says, I always find it hard to make goals. They often just don't come to me. That's a goal. You've just got a goal. You could spend this year focusing on trying to identify what your goals for next year are. That's an absolutely beautiful thing to spend a year of your life doing. Chris says, yeah, the first step is to take the first step. Yeah. Someone says here privately, SMT members should attend this presentation to understand what setting achievable goals to their employees will reduce pressures. Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing more difficult than an unachievable goal because it makes me feel stupid, unvalued, worthless, scared, sad, probably a bit like a child again when everything felt impossible. So yeah, absolutely, these should be reasonable. And then the last one, and these conversations always go like this, right? We've got a lot of emotional content, and then we're looking at the practical. Let's bring the emotional back in. Attend to your emotions. Goals are inherently attached to our emotions. It's about what we want out of life, what we want out of the future. It might be about love, it might be about family, about creating new life. It might be a goal for some people. That is hugely emotional. And so we must make sure that we're attending to the emotions that we feel along the way. I've put a list of my favorite emotions here on the screen. And another favorite image I've just found. So do you feel comfortable speaking about these aspects of your life? Just listen closely as I read through these different emotions. Anger and rage, guilt, shame, embarrassment, self-blame, loss of confidence, loss of a sense of safety in the world, loss of trust, a change how I see the world, a depressive mood, a lack of purpose, loneliness, avoidance. These are tough things. These are things that, culturally speaking, we have had years and years and generations of people telling us, you do not talk about these things. If you're guilty of something, you shut up and keep it to yourself so that no one else ever knows. If you feel shame around something, that's your fault. If you feel embarrassed, it's because you did something wrong. Not anything else. We hold all of these. And these are when people talk about emotional baggage, I feel like it's these metal heavy masks that we're carrying around in a backpack on our back. But if I can really share with someone something I feel shame and embarrassment about, usually it dissipates. If I can even just share it with myself and be honest with myself. Someone says here, love the image. Yeah. My goal, someone says here, is to do 10 minutes of exercise a day to improve my knees, but I don't do it, yet it is so simple. Okay, start with 1 minute. Get up now. While you're listening to me, get up now and bend your knees and bend your legs once. Do rather than do not. Don't feel overwhelmed by trying to do 10 minutes when you find that difficult. Just start really small. This is this idea of value. Where did that 10 minutes idea come from? Who told you that you, for your knees, has to do 10 minutes? 5-second rule, Ray says here, is good to help you do something. Yeah, 5 seconds. Brilliant. So let me know in the chat here. Do you have places where you can speak about these aspects of your life? Where do you go to talk about your shame, your anger, your loss of trust, your depressive mood, your loneliness? That says best friends. Good. Nicholas says best friend and wife. Someone else says privately, I rant to my twin sister. I think of Captain Tom and his goal and what he achieved through others supporting it. Yeah. Always give yourself one treat or reward a day, even if it's just a cup of tea or coffee. Great. Gemma goes to their partner. Anuja goes to close, trusted friends. Tracy goes to family. Russell goes to the dog. Yeah. This is great. Partner and family. A particular friend over some beers, says Andy. Great. Someone says here privately, I don't have anyone I can talk to about some of these. Start with yourself. Right, take a piece of paper. I enjoy writing. You can probably tell by some of my tips. You don't have to write, by the way. You can paint. You can start playing music. You can dance. You can sing. Do whatever you like. Whatever the creative endeavor is, put guilt as the title of it and just start drawing, start painting, start writing, start dancing, whatever it is that helps you. Get it out of your mind and into something physical in the world that we can do something with. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, anger, these are just titles that we've attached to things that I think you feel quite similarly to me. You might feel anger and guilt and shame and trust very differently than I do. So first of all, you need to define what those feelings are for you. You define what they mean and how they feel for you. So trying to get it out of your head is a really good way of doing it, because we don't feel stuff in our head. We feel it in our body, in our soul, in our actions, in our interactions with other people. Trying to get it out can be really useful. If you don't have anyone you can talk to, start talking to yourself about it first. Someone says small group at church. My great support system, my friends. Great. Someone says I go to the gym. A couple of people saying I go to the gym. Someone saying exactly what I do sometimes. I rant to myself in the car on my own. Yeah, the car's my own little therapy room, my own little safe space bubble. Fantastic. Walking, whining, and wine. Okay, I like that as well. Wine or wine, anyone? Good chat, everyone. Thank you. So, what more can we do? Look, if those of you that are listening don't have any goals or aims or resolutions for the year, same as me, by the way, I do not have any goals, resolutions, or aims for this year. But what can I do more? First of all, I can share my plans, my thoughts, my ideas, and emotions with others a bit more. Even, even if you're someone that feels that you do this a lot already, can you spend some more time? Can you find new people to share your thoughts and ideas and emotions with? Can we spend a little bit more time acknowledging our limits and what we find difficult? Spreadsheets. Don't do very well with spreadsheets. I have a limit on how many hours I can work in one day. I'll sit at my desk for longer sometimes, but realistically, I'm just wasting time. I have a limit around saying no. I'm not very good at that. I'm getting better. But if I can just list a few of those, all of a sudden I'm being kind to myself. Of course I have these limits. I can't be unlimited. I can't be a human being that can do everything. And then I need to set boundaries. I'm going to share my tool for setting boundaries. Those of you that have been to these presentations before will have seen this, but setting boundaries allows time and energy to be spent in the right places. I think that's really important, that we spend our time and energy in the right places. Find your own value. Coming back to that conversation again about value. If I find my own value, it cannot be taken away by others. It cannot be altered, changed, reset by others. It's my value that I've set on myself. If I only ever value myself by my salary that someone else is giving me, I've got no control over the value in my life whatsoever. And then switching off from others and tuning into your needs. So many of you talked about your intentions, your plans, your aims for this year being about spending less time on screens and being more with other people. Yet here we are using up 400 or so person hours on a screen. Hopefully we're doing it usefully. Hopefully this is a constructive session. So don't always just think about, oh, I need to spend as much time off screens as possible. Just make sure that you're attending to what you're doing on a screen. I find myself sometimes watching TV and playing with my phone at the same time. I'm on two screens and neither of them is getting my undivided attention. So making sure that you're doing this in the right way and not punishing yourself when you revert to old ways of doing things. I'm going to pick up a few more things from chat. We've only got a couple more slides to go, and then what we'll do is we'll switch off the recording and we'll have a bit of an open Q&A. I want to hear some more from all of you. I'll give you an opportunity to get involved and unmute yourself as well if you'd like. Someone says here, how do you find your true purpose in life? That's a great question. So we go back to Jean-Paul Sartre right at the start, right? Existence precedes essence. I might not have a purpose to my life. My purpose might be finding purpose, and that purpose might constantly evolve and change. You've gone on to say here, I had one when I played in team sports, but now I don't play, and I feel like I've lost my real sense of purpose and community. So now we're linking purpose to community. So there's something in your purpose that's about being part of a community and being with others, working together as a team to achieve a goal. So have a look at other parts of your life and where you might emulate that. What was your part in that team? Did you enjoy being a leader, or do you enjoy having a strong leader that allows you to follow? What steps can we take to discover our purpose? How might we find our sense of purpose in life is such a good question. It's one that many philosophers before me have really, really tried to answer. But I do revert back to that idea of Sartre's that, our purpose in life might be constantly evolving, and it might be our purpose to find that purpose. So you're already in it at the moment. You're already doing your purpose by trying to find out what it is that you can do. I get twisted in my own words sometimes when I go down these philosophical rabbit holes. So apologize as I come back up for air. What I really mean is, don't punish yourself for having lost a feeling of purpose that you had previously. Have a look at that sense of purpose that you had and try and pull out the tenets of it that you can recreate in other areas of your life. Also, team sports, most of them, can be played in many different ways and be involved in many different ways. Even if you don't have the physical capabilities that you used to perform that sport when you were younger, there might be a group of similar people with similar physical abilities to you that you can join in with, or you can get involved in the teams in other ways. You might be, support or coaching or other things that you can do to help others who play that game. Facebook is a hoover, someone says here. Yeah, absolutely. Brett says, if something is free, then you are the product. Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah. I read that purpose, someone says here, purpose often depends on your values, skills, and limitations. Good. So what if I can set my value, set my skills, and set my limitations? Am I starting to find purpose? Perhaps. I'm certainly starting to find the shape of me and where I might fit. So for those of you that haven't seen this, this is my favorite tool to use for setting boundaries. I do this 5 minutes a day. It's really quick, it's really cheap, and it really helps me to value myself. So the first thing I do when I reach this thing, this idea, is I switch everything off. Right? You can see in the kind of preamble here, have you switched off caring for your wants and needs? Are you just surviving? So set 5 minutes in your diary every single day. It can be a different time of the day, the same time of day. It can be at the start, the end, in the middle. I don't care. If you've never done it before, look at your diary now and just choose 5 minutes tomorrow and promise me you'll give it a go. I don't mind broken promises, by the way. Promise me you'll give it a go. 5 minutes in your diary. You might not like this, you might love it. You close your computer, turn off your phones, physically turn them off. I'll show you. I'll promise you I want to do that. I'm going to do this for real. So I don't know why iPhones always take a little bit longer. Turn those off. That sends a message to my body and to my brain that I'm in control. I'm in charge of these devices. I've closed my laptop so that I'm in control of that one. All of a sudden, I'm in my bedroom. Really nowhere I need to be scared of. Yeah, there's a few hundred people watching me. Hopefully they're all having a good time. I can't really change that now. Can't do much about it. What I can do is be in the room and be in the moment. So when that 5 minutes comes, I'm going to spend 5 minutes focusing on what I want and what I need. I'm going to take my hands and put them on top of my chest, because that's where I do it. Some of you might put it up here, back of your neck, your stomach, top of your legs, wherever it might be. I don't even move from this chair. I lean back a little bit. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and just think, what do I need today? And I knew the answer before I even asked it of myself today. I don't need much today. Today feels pretty full. What I need is a shut-off time. I need to finish this and shut off and do nothing for a little while. No one's ever going to invite me to do that. No one's ever going to come along and say, hey, Harry, switch everything off, take 5 minutes. Just really, really, really relax. Yeah, someone's saying in here, my brain has too many tabs open. That's me. I loved this image when I found it. That is how I feel sometimes. My whole brain will grind to a halt because I'm trying to do too much at once. Try this technique if you haven't before. Let me know next session. Next month, we'll all come back together again. Let me know how it went. Let me know what you liked about it, what you didn't like. We can always adjust it as we go along. This is not a one-size-fits-all tool. Some of you will hate this, and I want to hear from you as well. Yeah, that's me at night when trying to sleep. Yeah, so you have perfectly identified the time that it's right for you to do this, to that person who's just sent me that message. Before you go to bed, spend 5 minutes switching everything off and just checking in on what your needs are. Cool. So just a reminder for those of you that do have support from CiC, go have a look at wellonline.co.uk. If you don't know your login and password for that, just give us a call or speak to your colleagues in HR. They've probably got a record somewhere of your Well Online password. You can always just email us, assist@cicwellbeing.com. On Well Online, what you'll find is a kind of a repository really of all of our help sheets, all of our tools, tips and ideas that we've come up with over the years. And they're in these different categories: work life, home life. And then we've got some more practical support on our legal and financial advice services as well. If you'd like more from us at CiC, first of all, sign up to our newsletter at cicwellbeing.com. I'm going to put the links to these in chat. cicwellbeing.com is our corporate site, but what you can do is scroll right down to the bottom and you can sign up to our newsletter as an individual. You'll get all of our tips sheets as they come out brand new. You'll get these recordings. You'll get a reminder about the next one of these presentations, and also the YouTube channel. For those of you watching on YouTube already, hello. We're about to say goodbye to you and have a Q&A session. So if you are watching on YouTube, please do sign up on cicwellbeing.com so that you can come along live. The more of us that we have here, as you can probably see from this one today, it's been pretty lively and some really good discussion points. Someone says, here, is this open to contractors like me? It depends on the organization you work for and what our contract with that organization is. You can always get in touch to find out. If you're already a CiC customer, do go and speak to your account manager if you'd like to speak about more of these training or group sessions. We host these all over the world, live, in person, and online sometimes as well. And for those of you new to CiC, go and have a look on cicwellbeing.com. You'll find out more about us and how to ask us for a bit more information. Right, we've got about 5 minutes for some questions, so we're going to say goodbye to everyone listening on the recording now. Thank you very much and goodbye.